$89,000 a day. That is what this blueprint makes for my group of companies. I run a group of companies that has software, education, and agencies, and we underpin all of it with the blueprint that I'm going to show you today, which is how we do our marketing. It's how we generate all of our leads, and this blueprint makes us $89,000 a day. Now, it doesn't matter if you are a startup and you're trying to generate your very first customer, or if you're an established business and you want to double the revenue and bring down the cost of acquisition. This simple blueprint has worked for me when I'm launching a business from scratch with no funding, and it's worked for me when I'm growing and scaling a business and I've got lots of money behind me. I want to share with you this blueprint because we've worked so hard on it. We've refined it, and it's taken us years to get to this simplicity. And if you just follow these steps, you're going to have a much more successful marketing approach. There are 4 simple steps on this blueprint, and if you do this, you are covered. There's getting attention, sending people to a high converting landing page, collecting unique data with a quiz, and then having dynamic results and follow-up sequences. And if you do those 4 things, your marketing will go through the roof. So let's start with the first element. There are 3 things that you need to get good at in order to capture attention in today's marketplace. The first one is short form content. Short form content is content that can be consumed in under 2 minutes. It could be a short post on LinkedIn. It could be an image on Instagram. It could be one of those short videos that scrolls through your feed. It could be a short punchy direct message. All of that falls under the category of short form content that people consume in minutes. Now, the purpose of short form content is to get people to long form content. Long form content is where people really get to know you. This is content that is typically 10 minutes to 2 hours. Now, long form content could be a book, it could be a workshop, it could be a podcast, or it could be a long video like this. It could be a report that people download as a PDF. It could be a really long and detailed blog post that you put on your website. All of that is long form content if it's something that requires more than 10 minutes of people's attention in order to consume. And then finally, for getting attention, we need some ads. When you do really good short form content to long form content, you start to see what works, you start to see what messages cut through, and then you can amplify that with advertising. Once you've got people's attention, you must send them to a high converting landing page. Now, a typical website only converts 2 to 4% of people into leads, but a high converting landing page converts 20 to 40% of people into leads. What's the difference? The main difference is a really focused approach towards one call to action. This is a landing page that tells people that there is something that they need to do in order to take a next step. My favorite type of landing page is a landing page to an assessment or a quiz, where people are going to learn something about themselves and their situation by answering a set of questions. Now, an alternative to this could be a registration landing page where people register for a workshop, or it could be a registration page where people register to become a member of a discussion group. And one final option is where people register to join a waiting list for something that's coming in the future. But for the purpose of this video, let's go with a landing page that tells people that they need to take an online assessment to learn something about their situation. So what goes onto this landing page? At the top of the landing page, you're going to find something called a hook. A hook is a powerful sentence that tells people why they need to scroll down the page. It's going to hook their attention. And my 2 favorite hooks are called a frustration headline and a readiness headline. A frustration headline names the frustration that your people are experiencing. So you might say something like, are you frustrated that you're not getting fitness results even though you're working out 3 times a week? Or you might say something like, are you frustrated that your wealth isn't growing even though you're investing money every single month? So you get the idea. You're saying, are you frustrated that blank is happening even though you're doing these good things? Now, that is a very compelling hook because it hooks people in and they say, that's me, I can relate to that. The other type of headline is a readiness headline. And a readiness headline is a headline that says, are you ready for this great result? So are you ready to run your first marathon? Are you ready to lose weight? Are you ready to grow your business? Are you ready to hire a top performing salesperson? So the readiness headline dangles that carrot in front of people and says, are you ready for this thing that you want? If you're struggling to figure out what you should put into the hook, go back and look at some of your top performing short form content and long form content to see what people are responding to and look for clues that could be featured in that hook. Now, to get people to scroll down, you do a subheading under the hook that says, are you struggling to lose weight even though you're counting calories? Answer 15 questions to find out why. And that would be a powerful hook that gets people to want to scroll down. So the next part of the landing page is called a value proposition. And a value proposition tells people that if they take some sort of an action, they're going to get some sort of an outcome. So you might say, answer 15 questions and you're going to measure and improve these 3 areas of your life, or you're going to get clarity on this, this, and this. Or if you do this quiz, you're going to discover a pathway to these 3 outcomes with special tailored results just for you. So the value proposition is making it super clear that if they take the action that you're asking them to take, there's going to be benefits immediately for them doing that. What I really like to do with the value proposition is to give people at least 3 reasons to take action. And it could be benefit 1, benefit 2, and removal of pain number 3. So for example, if we were doing some sort of quiz around body transformation, weight loss, or getting healthy and fit, it could be take the quiz and discover the perfect eating plan for you, discover the perfect workout plan for you, and to discover the reasons why it hasn't been working for you in the past. A really powerful sentence that you can use in the value proposition is the sentence, measure and improve these 3 things. That really tells people that there's value in the data and there's value in customizing in order to get 3 outcomes that people want. So that's the value proposition. Now, once you give people a really powerful value proposition, it sounds too good to be true. They want proof. So the next section here is called proof. So when it comes to proof, there's a few things that you can leverage. You can leverage your background and your biography. You can tell people all the things you've done in your background that make you a trustworthy person to listen to. You can also use case studies or testimonials. You can also reference research, whether that's research that's publicly available from a respected institution, or it might even be your unique research that you've conducted. This is a place that you might also reference your Trustpilot reviews, or you might have an expert testimonial from someone who's respected in your industry. And if you can, in particular, focus the proof on the proof of doing the quiz, of answering the assessment. So don't necessarily provide proof for working with you and buying your core offer just yet. Just provide proof for going ahead and taking the assessment. Because remember, all we want right now is people to take that next step, which is to answer the quiz and get their results. Now, if you're just starting out, one of the best pieces of proof is to do some research from respected academic institutions and quote some research that relates to what you're talking about. So you might say, Harvard University found that 73% of people did X, Y, and Z, or Stanford found that 42% of people are struggling with these 3 things. Using proof that's already respected, already freely available is a really powerful thing that you could use if you're just starting out. Also, if you're just starting out, one good case study, testimonial, or reference from a respected person could also go a long way. And you could put that in there too. So you've hooked their attention, you've given them a value proposition, you've provided proof. Now it's time to give a clear call to action. And a call to action is telling them what it is that you want to do. This is where you say, take the quiz, answer 15 questions. It's completely free to take this assessment. It only takes 3 minutes, and you'll get immediate results. Now, by covering all of those objections, people are gonna go, you know what, why wouldn't I do that? It's free, it's quick, and it gives me immediate improvement in results. Why wouldn't I just go ahead and do that? So you want to have a nice, clear call to action that removes any resistance that people might have to just taking that next step. Now, this is why these landing pages convert at 20 to 40% as opposed to 2 to 4% on a typical web page. A typical web page doesn't have any of these elements. It's just kind of nice information and pretty graphics and pretty pictures, but it doesn't tell people what they need to do. But it's these powerful call to actions. It's this format that allows you to go from having 2 to 4% of traffic convert to a lead to having 20 to 40% of traffic convert to a lead. Now, a mistake so many businesses make is they do get attention online, but when they send it over to their website, there's just not a clear call to action, so it's not translating into leads, and then they complain that their industry is in trouble. It's not the industry, it's the clarity of what's on that landing page. If you get these 4 elements onto your landing page, you are gonna see a flood of leads coming into your business, and everything is downstream from lead generation. So if you can get these leads, you're gonna build a great business. People have clicked the little button on the call to action, they've said, yep, I'm going to go ahead and take this assessment. So they're going to have to fill in a little bit of information to start the assessment. Now, what we want is we want their name, we want their email address, we want the location, which normally can happen automatically from their IP address, and we want to give people the option to give us their phone number. Now, we don't want to make that a mandatory field. We don't want people to have to give the phone number, but if they're happy to give their phone number, why not collect it right here? Because one of the most powerful ways to follow up is with text or with a phone call. So why not grab that phone number if people are happy to share it? As soon as they've filled in that information, they start the quiz. And I love having 15 questions. So the 15 questions that I want to ask, there's two sections. The first section is called 10 best practice questions. The 10 best practice questions are where you ask people if they're doing all the right things or not. So you're going to ask people, are you doing this? Are you doing that? On the weight loss quiz, we might talk about, are you measuring your calories? Are you getting in 8 to 10,000 steps per day? So all of the best practices, we can ask that in those first 10 questions. And that's going to help us to give people a score as to whether they're doing the right things or not. And then the final 5 questions are about understanding who they are and their situation and what they're trying to achieve. And here's the 5 questions that I like to have as the last 5 questions. I like to have which best describes your current situation, and I give them 4 options to choose from. Then I say which best describes the desired outcome that you're looking to achieve. And once again, I give 4 options to choose from. I then say which best describes the biggest obstacle you've faced in trying to achieve those results. And once again, I give people 4 options to choose from. And then the next one is which best describes the solution that you think would best suit your needs. And I give people 4 options, and each one of those solutions implies a different price point. So I might say a book recommendation would be really helpful, right through to I want someone to do this for me. And it implies how much people are willing to spend. And then the final 15th question, is there anything else you want me to know? This question always blows my mind because people put things in there like, I've already read your book, or I'm ready to buy, or sometimes they put, I need to spend some money before the end of my budget cycle. It's incredible what people will put in here. Now at this point, I really just want to emphasize this works for B2B or B2C. In fact, it works even better for B2B. If you do coaching, consulting, if you have software, if you have an agency, this works really, really well. Or if you have a B2C offering, if you're a fitness trainer, if you're a dating coach, if you help people to study for exams, all of these types of offerings, they work really, really well with this approach. So let's quickly zoom out. We've captured people's attention. We've sent them to a high converting landing page. They've given us their information about who they are. They've answered 15 questions. And now when they finally click that last little button, it takes them over here to the results page. So what are we going to find on this results page? We're going to find initially a score. So the score is going to be the overview, the big picture score. So it might be you've scored 76%. It could be that you are a green light, amber light, red light, you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced, right? But you're going to give people an overview of their score. This is going to be the big picture score. The next thing you're going to do is give people 3 insights. Those 3 insights drill into a bit more information about the score. So you might say, this is how you scored for diet, exercise, and sleep. Or you might say, these are the 3 implications of your score. So you're going to get into a bit more granular detail and give people 3 insights that they may not have considered, or a little bit more detailed information into how you arrived at that score. The third thing that you're going to do is give people their next steps. You're going to tell people what you want them to do next. Now, if you're using a really good system, you can actually vary this depending on how they scored. So if someone is not right for you as a customer, you might say, next step, go and have a look at this book or look at this content. And if someone is a perfect customer, you say, next step, let's jump on a call and have a one-to-one call. So the final thing we want to put in here is the proof, but this time the proof is not about focusing people on taking the next step of taking an assessment. The proof is the proof to work with you, the proof of buying and becoming a customer. So now we've recommended this next step, people might go, oh, should I take the next step? We want to make sure they've got lots of proof that that would be a good idea. So proof to go to the next step of becoming a customer. Now this could be Trustpilot reviews, this could be testimonials, it could be a video where you introduce yourself and talk about your background. You could have text, you could have video, you could have a download, right? Anything that helps people to really understand why they should trust you and why they should go to that next step of working with you. And then finally, there is the follow-up sequence. Now, typically this happens automatically. An email will go out, the CRM system will continue to send some follow-up emails, maybe a direct message gets sent through, right? Whatever happens in the follow-up, maybe your salespeople just jump on the phone and talk to people. So then, because we have such hot leads, we can go to sales follow-up and we know that we're going to get a great result. These are highly qualified leads and they're highly likely to buy. Now, why does this make so much money? It makes so much money because it is a predictable way of turning online attention into action and results. It moves people from having a frustration to having a solution that's perfect for them. It helps people to feel that they've got a tailored solution. It's like when you go to the doctor and you say, something's wrong with my arm. They do an x-ray, they show you what's going on, and then they recommend a solution. And because they've gone through that process of analyzing and checking you out, then we trust the solution. Now, the way things are online at the moment, if you don't do this, people just have a short-term memory. they go flicking through thousands of those videos every single week, they're going to forget that you even exist. So it's only when you can take that attention and get people to take some sort of action and then learn about them and give them a trusted piece of advice that you can actually turn that attention into a customer. One of my first mentors said everything is downstream from lead generation, and one of my biggest mentors said everything's downstream from attention. If you're a business, you have to get attention and you have to turn that attention into leads. And if you can do that, everything comes downstream from that. You end up with leads, and then you end up presenting people with offers, and then you end up making sales, and then you improve your product, and it all turns into a positive cycle after that. And the best thing about having a system like this is that we can actually figure out where it's broken. So if we're not getting enough people to the landing page, then the problem is either going to be short form content, long form content, or advertising. If we're getting people to the landing page, but they're not converting into leads, we know that the problem is that we haven't got the right hook, the right value proposition, the right proof, or the right call to action. If we're getting people filling this in and they're coming through to this results page, but they're not buying, we know that we don't have the right next step, or we don't have the right insights. So we can really break it down and figure out what's working and what's not working in this whole marketing system. It takes the randomness and the guesswork out of it. It makes it super clear as to what's working and what's not working. And within months, your marketing systems start firing on all cylinders. So once you've fine-tuned this, and it does take weeks to months to fine-tune it, but once you've done that, you can go over here to this advertising section and you can really ramp this up. When you've figured out that if you spend $10 on an ad, you'll get one really hot lead who's really likely to buy, and it's profitable to do so, you can go and spend $10,000 on ads and get 1,000 leads and really ramp up your business. But you can't spend a lot of money on ads if you don't know what's going to happen next. You need a predictable system that turns that ad attention into a viable lead. And this is how you do it. With this landing page, with this quiz, with these results and this follow-up, if you get this right, you will have a money printing machine. Now, I've used this to get to almost $100,000 a day across multiple different businesses, whether that be agencies, education businesses, or software businesses. This is the system I've used to create exponential growth. Whether you're starting out or you're scaling an existing business, I really want you to try this because it works so well and I couldn't make it any more simple. So you probably understand how all of this works conceptually. But how much time is it going to take to set up? Well, it's not going to take any time at all, because at ScoreApp.com, we've done all of this thinking for you, and we've put together this in templates. You can use our template library with over 150 templates across 50 different industries to just pick a template and it's all done for you. We've already written the landing page copy. We've already created these quiz questions. We've already got the dynamic results, and it's fast and cheap to set up. All you're going to have to do is put your branding in, plug in a few little bits of information about yourself. It's as simple as editing any other document that you've ever edited. You can start with a free account and start generating leads straight away. And then scaling up from there is totally affordable. ScoreApp.com was built for small businesses. It was built for entrepreneurs who are growing. So it's not going to be a big expensive piece of software. It's totally built to be affordable for small businesses, but you can start for free. So if you've not done so already, check out the link in the description and get yourself a free ScoreApp.com account. Get started with this. This is going to be the key to unlock massive growth in the year ahead. If you've enjoyed this video and you're going to give it a try, give me a like, give me a comment, give me a subscribe, share this video with someone who'll get value from it, and I look forward to seeing you next time.